Bonjour à toutes et à tous. So, hello everybody. Today we are going to make this interview in English. This is the second time that we welcome you, André. So, thank you very much for your time. You have actually a very diverse background, André. And do you want to talk a little bit about the different phases of your professional life?
Yeah, hi. Hello, Muriel. Hello to everybody. Always a pleasure to be back here. Thank you very, very much for your time, Muriel, for your time, all of those that are listening to us. And indeed, I spent 17 years in corporate, and 2 weeks before I turned 40, actually, I had a real crisis of meaning. What am I doing here? How is this really helping, a society? How is this helping the environment? What legacy will I leave? So I actually gave my resignation, started an MBA program, EPFL HEC Lausanne, very interesting times, and co-founded a startup, Go Beyond Investing, which became 800 investors investing our own money in other startups. We did 200 rounds of startup investments, 24 million of our own money actually, with some excellent returns. So I actually got a call from my banker last week asking me what was this money arriving on my account, one of the exits of my of a startup investment I made some time ago. So it's very interesting times. And this gave me the background to understand that there's corporates and there's startups, which are actually very, very different. And actually what works in corporate does not work in startups. What works in startups does not work in corporate. Startups are not small, large companies, on the opposite. And there's very different mindsets that are required, very different know-how, very different approaches, different resilience. We cannot punish early stage failure in startups because there will be problems, that's for sure. And this actually enabled me to bring the mindset of entrepreneurs into large organizations, into existing organizations. And nearly 5 years ago, actually, I became independent and advising corporates, large organizations, and SMEs on how to implement an entrepreneurial mindset in your company.
And actually, you started as an entrepreneur very young because you were 19 years old, and you founded your first startup. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, those were very interesting times. Actually, I built my first consulting project at age 13 in computer science. That was an interesting time. And then I started I had never actually heard of the word startup back then, but I actually had my first business at age 19, and then sold it 3 years later. I have zero entrepreneurial examples actually in my family, zero. So once I finished my studies, I thought I need to get a real job. So that's what I did. And it was only when I was 40 that I came back to my entrepreneurial roots in a way. That was interesting time, definitely.
And André, when you are mentoring multinationals now with this entrepreneurship spirit, what are your key observations in coaching executives and corporate employees in their careers and personal satisfaction?
Yeah, here that's very interesting actually. We today we inherited a whole system that was useful for the first, second, and third industrial revolution. So here it was very top down. People had very clear definitions of what they were supposed to do. Actually, I heard this lately. The job description actually came from the sticker, the metal plate actually put on the machine on the floor, on the assembly line floor. These machines actually had a sticker that was their job description. Then we replaced the machines by people, and actually then the people had a job description with a plate. I don't think that applies actually very well in today's world, but here, what I'm seeing is we're still in this environment where one person knows the person above us, and we do what we're told. But when I interview large companies, the one word that comes on a regular basis is we're looking for employees with more audacity, more willingness to take on a project and to take it to market and actually create revenues, create customer satisfaction from the employee down. Huh? And in large organizations, I see that the employees are in touch with reality. The board and CEO often knows that there's changes going on. Now, the middle management can often be a little bit isolating between those two and stopping information from coming across there. What I've noticed myself is that as an independent, I will never get hired for something I'm average at. I'll only get hired for something I'm very good at, very differentiating compared to others. And after a certain amount of research, I understood this had to do with my genius zone. My genius zone is something I'm so good at. I think it's easy for everybody, like walking, like talking. Everybody can do that. So in my genius zones, I had the impression for the longest time that actually it was very easy for anybody else to do it. So I didn't realize it was specific. So actually I spent way, way too much time in my zone of excellence, something that's recognized from the outside, but actually doesn't nourish my soul, doesn't give me meaning, doesn't make time fly or time slow down. And at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I've, ticked off my to-do list, but do I really feel more energy than before? No. But once I understood my genius zone, what it was and how to spend as much time as possible in there, suddenly at the end of the day, actually I have more energy than before. Time flies, it's really incredible. Suddenly I start attracting people that also are interested by this, or recognize this in themselves and others, and we're starting to create a community of people around us to understand our genius zones and to create companies, to create interim management teams around this, and to really, really increase job satisfaction. It's very, very impressive how this changes very quickly, actually, once we've identified that.
And so in your experience, what would you say are the different levels of skills or competencies you see in the workplace, employees and the executive alike?
Yeah. So basically, that there's four levels of knowledge, right? There is when I don't know that I don't know, and then I'm very dangerous when I don't even know that I don't know. Huh? Then the level above that is I know I don't know, and there at least I can make an effort to learn and to get coaching and to meet people that understand better. And then I know that I know, and that's level 3, and that's great, and that's often actually the zone of excellence. I know that I know. But there's one level beyond that. I don't know anymore that I know. It's so automatic, so natural. I don't even have the impression I have to do an effort. Literally, it comes on its own. And when I'm in that, that is my genius zone. The problem is, as I don't even know that I know anymore, it's only from the outside, only others that can actually help me identify that genius zone. Because myself, including for my own, I was not aware. People around me had to tell me certain things that made me identify my genius zone.
And you have different actually levels. So how do we identify what level we're working for at? Sorry.
Yeah, so one, the identification of the genius zones needs to come from the outside because it's so natural for us. And then how do we check if it's the zone of excellence, something I'm good at because over time I've done it so often that actually I'm good at it, but it doesn't nourish my soul, bring me energy, versus the genius zone where really afterwards I have more energy, time becomes fluid, it's personal fulfillment, I prioritize these automatically. Once you've tasted this genius zone, once we've tasted it, we cannot go back. And therefore, we will do more and more tasks in this. And actually, if I look at the way I prioritize my time, the things I start by doing, those will be the ones in my genius zone. The things I leave at the end, those will be my zone of excellence.
Okay.
It really makes me feel happy when really true, deep happiness of helping others. That's one of my genius zones, of empowering others, of giving what I would have liked to receive at that time. To that person. And when I'm in my genius zone, it makes me feel happy. When I'm in my zone of excellence, when I'm done, it makes me feel relieved. I can tick something off, right? I can check a box. That's actually, relief is like the zone of excellence. True, deep happiness, that is the zone of genius, exactly. On one way, I'm loving life, but when I'm in my zone of excellence, I'm just filling the day. I need to do this, need to do that, it feels heavy. That's very different. I really think I'm living. When I spend Mondays with my son, I have a 4-year-old son, we go biking together. When I spend the day with him, there's something magical that happens, but in a way I'm still maybe even working because I have new ideas, but that actually allows me to be efficient the other 4 days of the week. If I didn't have that magical time with him, it wouldn't inspire me. So do I get paid? Maybe not, but you know what? I get paid for tons of other things where I'm having fun as well. So that's actually very good. It works out very well, actually. Those are just examples.
Yes. So we spoke about actually the individual genius zones, but now, in your experience again, do you see a relationship between levels in the organization that you coach or you manage and time spent in the
Yeah.
genius zones of each individuals.
Whoa, yeah, this is very moving, Miriam. This is very, very moving because I see so many people that as they go up in the ladder, they climb this ladder, they have the impression that once they're at the next level, finally they'll be happy, right? Finally they'll feel fulfilled. Finally they will have a reward for all this effort and sometimes suffering, huh? Let's be straightforward here, that they put in to get to these levels. And actually, what I see is the higher the people are in the organization, actually the less they're connected to their true genius zones, because the more they feel the pressure from the outside. It can be from society, what they believe society wants. So I truly believe society wants us to be happy, and we're not here to suffer, but from society, from their peers, from their family, from their friends, they've done all this effort. Why give up now to do something that's fun when actually there's all this pressure to perform in a certain way that we believe others think is good for us? There's a double lie here. Huh? One, we believe what others believe is good for us. So the only person who knows what's good for us is us, huh? Nobody else. And sometimes in companies, our own good and the good of the company is aligned, but actually often it's the good of the company that goes first. And sometimes by chance they're aligned, but most of the time actually it's not. And here I meet these people in coaching, I meet these people in outplacement, I meet these people in reinventing their careers. And sometimes we have to rebuild very, very deep on where they came from and what choices they've made where they disconnected from their path of happiness. And one way to look at is, what did we do as a child? As a child, we do not have these filters. As a child, I would constantly invent things made out of Legos, so incredible stuff that did not exist. One example, I invented a system when trucks, when they take a turn, the trailer tends to cut the turn, a long truck, right? And that time, all trailers would cut turns. I was 7. I remember in my room, I was 7. I invented a system that when the front of the truck turns, then the back of the truck actually takes a larger turn. And I was inventing this, and I would spend hours testing it, draw circles and try to go around the road. And it was only 10 years later that this actually existed on the roads. And now there's something about inventing new careers, inventing new ways of touching people, inventing new ways of having companies change. And this is just something I did as a child. It was different types of inventions, but I come from a family of inventors. We're all inventors in my family. So here there's something about inheriting that and actually doing something of it. But if we look at what gave us joy as a child, this is also an identification of the genius zone. Now compare what this time we spend today in our job, are we spending that same time, the same quality time, the same type of joy? If not, I have a quick message. Life is way too short, way too short to waste that time. Literally, here's the true waste of human capital and happiness that could be driven towards something so much more empowering. I am literally 2, 3, 4 times more efficient when I'm in my zone of genius compared to my zone of excellence. And zone of excellence, I made good money. I'm getting paid to be in this, but I was not in my genius zone. And here, there was no company that would ever work on a 3, 4 times less efficient of any use of any resources. And yet us as people or as employees, we can be in a very, very inefficient zone and not do anything about it. That I find a true shame for society and for ourselves. And I think it's personal responsibility to be able to spend as much time as possible in our genius zone.
So this is a good link to the following question, actually. How come this notion of genius zone is little applied in the workplace?
Yeah.
This is so empowering for all people, for parties.
Yeah, I truly believe, after studying and hours and hours of coaching that I received and then was able to give back as well to numerous entrepreneurs, executives, middle management, there is something about the first, second, and third industrial revolution which was very top down. And actually, if we have a look at the whole schooling system, my son's 4.5. In 2 months, he's going to be starting school. I question gravely if the day he starts kindergarten, this is the right message that he receives to be able to adjust to a society, a VUCA, in a VUCA world. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. This is the world we're going towards. Does this schooling system prepare us? Does university prepare us? does the workplace prepare us towards the needs we will have in a changing business environment, in a changing work environment, in a changing employee environment? Let's be very open here. These weeks, PMI firing over 300 people. None of those people, 0 of them got fired because they were doing a bad job. This was a restructuring completely independent of the employee's actual performance. And let's be very open, in the world towards which we're going, personal operational excellence, or by the way, company operational excellence, will not be a differentiator anymore. This is required, but not sufficient. This is not sufficient to differentiate us. So the first, second, and third industrial revolution created a system which was required. Most of us would not be here if our parents had not, had vaccines, antibiotics. Our parents would not be born. Let's be very open here. Now, to be able to go further, though, the fourth industrial revolution requires a completely different mindset. A very different mindset, which probably some things are going to be the opposite of what we had before. And I'm not quite sure how many companies or individuals are ready to have implemented that. The disruption we're going through right now, for me, was a huge bonanza. That doesn't mean I don't have a lot of empathy for the people that had huge difficulties in these times. I know it's very, very difficult for a number of people. But actually, once we're able to see this as an opportunity, we can really, really connect. And there's tons of opportunities to be able to make change much quicker than what we thought before. And environments that were typically very static, some things have changed within literally days.
So this actual transition you are talking about, what would be the concrete steps to put in place?
Yeah, so first, we do need to identify our own genius zones. And again, this requires help from the outside. There's methodologies to do that. I'll share one in the link to this video. And by aggregating input from the outside, we can actually find out what are our unique genius zones. But then we still need to filter out, because sometimes there's mixed zone of excellence, because people from the outside, they say we're good at this, but they don't know what nourishes our soul. They don't know what makes time fly for us. So here we have to filter out what is zones of excellence and zone of genius. And here there's basically a methodology for that. And once we've done that, we need to repackage it in a specific way that will allow us to be able to bring this to the market in a differentiating way compared to other people. And this is the step that can also be empowered by an outside view. To have a different way of simply an employee with competency X, there's going to be hundreds, literally, of employees with competency X, which will be available in the market. I'm seeing very, very competent people having trouble finding work today, and this is somewhat concerning. And there, I think we need to repackage that in an innovative way, that it's the same competencies, but actually under a different light, to be able to create jobs that did not exist before.
And this is actually very interesting too, because it's so fun to, to spend time in the genius zones areas and to put that into place for free, like for fun, passion, etc. But is it okay to get paid for it?
Yeah, you know what? I hear this all the time in coaching, and for myself, it was a big, big step, to be able to get paid for having fun. There's something about I'm not exactly sure where it comes from, but there's something about kind of an inherited belief that work has to be suffering in some type of way, and having fun is the outside as a compensation once we've worked enough. But actually, I have news for everybody, and it was big, big news for myself. Once I understood that if I do not get paid for being in my genius zone, I'll always be limited in the proportion of time I can spend there, because I'll always have to subsidize from another job, which I might not like that much, by the way. So I can use this subsidy to spend time in my genius zone, but actually I truly believe we have a personal responsibility for ourselves and for society and for employers, by the way, to be able to connect that genius zone and have fun. We are so much more efficient, so much more empowering for people around us. Where it's really a gift to work with people once we're in our genius zones. And here, I believe we have collective responsibility to identify those and to work in them and life becomes much, much easier for everybody, including my clients, by the way. So here, I think there's something very powerful about doing this. It's once I understood that I was creating the world for myself, but also for people around me. I'm co-creating a different world by being in my genius zone. It's my responsibility because everybody around me will also live this world once I'm in it.
Yes, I think it's very crystal clear. So do you have any final word to conclude, André?
Yeah, I truly believe that you should check the percentage of time you spend in your genius zone. This percentage of time where time flies, where at the end of the task you have more energy than before, the percentage of time where you get incredible feedback from people around you, okay? And just do a little check over the day. We'll share a little framework for that if you want as well. And check the proportion. And when I do workshops and people realize, uh-oh, I'm only spending 20% or 10% of my time in my genius zone, we attain what we measure. Huh? All managers understand this. We attain what we measure. So start by measuring. And if at the end of the week you've not spent more than 60, 70, 80%, think, is this the right time to stay here or the right time to make a decision and change things, which doesn't mean you have to quit your job, huh? But by repackaging your current job, you can make a huge difference. And once the feedback I get unanimously, people, once they're in the genius zone, people around them tell them, ooh, whoa, what happened? What happened to you? Are you on drugs? Did you find a new partner? No, I'm just working in my genius zone. Don't worry, everything's fine, right? And here there's something very, very special. And this, even people around us, immediately they'll notice.
Yeah. So what would be actually the next deadlines or milestones? Do you have a training?
Yeah, indeed. So one, there's going to be two frameworks we're going to be sharing with you. One is how to identify what are your genius zones, and the second one is to check the time you spend in them. Okay, and that's the first step. And if you want to know more, there are indeed trainings. We'll be sharing a couple of links in the notes that you can sign up for. We do workshops on a regular basis, and actually we had a reunion 10 days ago of one of the workshops I did, and myself. This was 30 days after we did the training, and people had made changes in their life. I was flabbergasted. I was flabbergasted by the changes they've made in 30 days, huh? Where they went out, they find something totally different than what they were doing. They started doing interviews, and people loved them so much in interviews, they were asking them for contracts. But don't tell me how much I'm willing to pay. I want to pay you. I don't care about the interviews. I want to work with you. So here, it's really, really unbelievable, the power. I was surprised myself about people, the changes they made. 30 days. 30 days the changes made. Very, very impressive.
So you will share information with us.
Yes.
With me, sorry, and I will actually publish it on the social networks. And you will have how many? Two trainings?
So there's 2 workshops already set, but contact us. There'll be an email. You can contact us. There's going to be other ones. By the way, if you want to get together with friends, people you know, or in your company to set up a workshop, I'll be more than happy because I know the power it has. And contact me. There's these 2 already set up, but if you want to do others, just contact me. We can set something up with you.
And you do it offline and online?
Yes, exactly. So there's the latest couple of months they've been online with actually very, very positive feedback, even online. And of course, we'll be doing offline as well. Either one. I have 300 hours of experience of online training, participant contact. So and offline, I stopped counting the hours. So the months.
Great. André, thank you so much. We are going to make the interview in French now. So
bye, guys. Thank you very, very much.
Bye.
Wonderful day. Bye-bye.